Welcome to the Warband, a World of Warcraft podcast. My name is Swaglock. With me today in the studio here, digitally online. I always want to say in the studio, but it never makes sense. We're not in a studio. Maybe one day. Episode 104, I think, is going to be in the studio, right?
Oh, are we?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. Right? It's
confirmed.
That's our 2-year
today.
Yeah, that's
right
our
now.
right now. That's our 2-year anniversary. But with us today on this recording, as always, we have the one, the only, the lovable, the huggable chicken.
Yo.
Look at all them chickens.
Yo. It's from Chicken Little.
Yeah, I think it's from like Vine, dude.
What'd you say?
Never mind. Anyways, we've got a lot to talk about today. It doesn't seem like it, but there actually is like a good bit still to discuss with World of Warcraft. Everything that's happening. News on 12.1. There's a lot. Maybe not as much as I wish there was.
Maybe not that much, but there's still a lot.
Maybe
there's not a lot, but there's still a lot.
Maybe hardly anything. But still a good bit. We're recording a bit earlier than normal, so hopefully they don't come out tomorrow and give us like a huge major drop.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, there is some stuff though that I have found interesting. We have seen some interviews going on, and so those interviews are going to be important. There's another one next week, right? So next Friday.
On Friday.
There's another interview. We'll dissect that next week's episode. But then there was also an interview this past week with Ian Hazzikostas, which was pretty good. It was pretty good. I think he handles himself very well when he talks about WoW. And it really comes across like not only does he develop the game, like obviously everybody who, like all the lead developers when they talk about the game, they clearly know their stuff. But it seems like he genuinely just loves Warcraft, loves the world, and values it a lot.
You know, this is weird, and I had no intention of talking about this, but I feel like as a kid, like everyone wants to be like, oh, I want to be a video game developer because, like, yeah, I just get to play video games all the time. I feel like that was like your and I's generation, like dream job. Now I feel like it's like, oh, I just want to be a TikTok star, and now it's like totally like moved away. But like, I feel like as a kid and like a teenager, even it was like, oh, like it'd be so
YouTubers,
cool,
man. YouTubers are
like
what
a
kids
game
want to be now.
developer. And this guy's living the dream, basically.
Living the dream, dude. I used to, man. By the way, there was a season of my life where I got really into wanting to learn game development. It was in high school, which you're like, oh, well, everybody in high school wants to. But at the time I was running, this is such random lore, but I'm sure we'll have some listeners who really appreciate it. At the time, I was co-running Team Fortress 2 servers.
Yeah.
And so I was running. We had like, as part of our server group, I want to say like 4 or 5 servers that we were running. One of the most populated servers for Team Fortress, and so I was doing the map design. So I would work on map design. A lot of times it's just like alternate versions of 2 Fort, but we had a mod that allowed us to play. Like basically it was like Team Fortress 2 we were playing, but it was with the rule set of Team Fortress Classic, including like the bugs that Team Fortress Classic had, like bunny hop and including the grenades and other things. So I mean that's really specific for people who know what I'm talking about. But yeah, there's a time in my life where I was like, dude, I'm gonna go to school for this, like video game design. What I'm gonna do is how I kind of got into graphic design, was doing texture work and stuff for these games, and never just ended up going a totally different direction. I found something else that I loved a little bit more, and I enjoy my job. I love my job. I think I actually would have been bored out of my mind, to be honest, if I got a video game design. I think it would have been too much of a similar thing over and over and over again, and it would have worn me out. I know myself well now. I don't think I could have done it long term.
I don't disagree. I think it's just like one of those like, oh, this is the dream. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh, this would be so cool. This is the dream. But then like realistically, like I feel like it would be kind of okay. It would just be okay.
Yeah. But anyways, Ian had this interview this past week with Cybear, and it was interesting to me to kind of hear some of the talking points, and so maybe we can go through a little bit of this. I want to hear some of your opinions. I don't know, did you watch the interview?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Good
And it wasn't
interview.
on Wowhead, so I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
Like typically, if I see something on like Wowhead like that, I'll like give it a listen. But I didn't see it on Wowhead. Interesting.
No, it was a good interview. It was long. It was a long interview.
Oh yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I want to say
Too long.
an hour. I want to say it was like an hour.
Oh, I mean, I guess that's not that long.
Yeah, well, to have like Ian on your interview for an hour is actually like a pretty big deal, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's not like what we normally see with the interviews, where it's like they're like at the WoW studio sitting down and talking about this. Like it's clearly just like over Zoom. They're just talking over Zoom, chatting about it. Like it's very
honestly.
raw. No, but it makes it feel a little more raw, a little bit less polished, right?
Yeah.
I like that. Like I want to feel like what I'm listening to is like a genuine, true interview. There's times where like you see these interviews where you're like, were you fed the questions ahead of time? Like what's going on? But anyways, Ian talks about a few main points, and we'll kind of go through the ones I think are possibly most interesting now for our audience, and the things that they might find interesting. But number one, he said that Midnight, the overall response and feedback to this season of Midnight has apparently been really good. Lots of excitement, lots of participation, and I thought that was fascinating because, man, I feel like when I look out at like the response I see online, it's very negative, right? Like if I'm reading on Twitter or talking with other people, it's like very, very, very negative. It's like, oh, dude, season 1 is boring, nothing to do, everything's buggy, nothing works correctly. You talk to Swag and he says that gear is too free, that nobody has to work for gear anymore, and it's meaningless, and you should just load in with max gear because what's the point at this point?
You're like, yeah, part of the people hating is me.
Part of people hating is me. But you know, like, I will also say this: I've genuinely had a great time playing the season. Like actually playing the season has been fun. Like, there's nothing about playing right now that I've been like, oh, I don't want to log in. Like, there's no reason I haven't wanted to log in. Other than that, it's just starting to get towards the end of the season, and I've done it a whole bunch. Like, I'm starting to just run out feeling like there's new things to do, but we're kind of on the back end of the season, and that feels fine.
Yeah, like this season's going to turn over in what, like a couple weeks?
Yeah, and it's healthy too for me to want to turn around and play something else for a little bit, and then come back to World of Warcraft. That's pretty standard, pretty normal procedure. But I do think Ian has he has data that we don't quite have, right? And so he gets to sit and look, not just at like, well, what are people on Twitter saying? But he also gets to sit and say, okay, but are people logging in? Are they running keys? Are they interacting with raids? Are they doing delves?
Yeah, I mean, Twitter's going to focus on, negativity sells, right? It's the same reason why when you go and look at, ratings for the toothbrush that you want to buy, right? You're looking at the 1-star ratings, right? You're not looking at the 5-star ratings. I mean, my opinion is I think it's been genuinely a good season. I've definitely pulled back a lot this season, but I don't think it's because the season's been bad. I think it's just because I've kind of been desiring a break from WoW, and I think it's just kind of come like almost naturally during this season, where I just don't think I played near as much as I've had in the past, and what I have been playing isn't what I normally play. So
that's true.
But yeah, I think overall, I think they've added things. I think they've simplified it. I didn't love the class changes when we went into the season, but now I'm like, they're not bad, right? I still miss my Tombstone, but what can I do?
That's true. I do miss Tombstone. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, right. You forgot about Tombstone, and what was the other one? Bone Storm. Bone Storm was good. I like Bone Storm.
I'll be honest, though, like kind of, yeah. I mean, they're gone, but I kind of forgot they were gone.
You don't think about them anymore,
no,
right?
At no point have it been like, oh, dude, if I had a Tombstone, like you just don't think about it. You're just like, oh, this is how my characters like work. It's just whatever, right?
Yeah, I don't think about it at all anymore. But yeah, I mean, it's just been, it's been good, and in that vein, it's just a different time for me in WoW, and I still think it's good. They've simplified things. I think what they've done with 0.5, 0.7 has probably been some of the best 0.5 and 0.7s I've ever seen in WoW, to be honest.
And some really good stuff.
Yeah, so I I would be shocked if they said it wasn't doing well.
That's fair. That's fair. By the way, Chicken, this week, sorry, my brain's on this, and I know it's not really on topic, but we ran our first key together for the season this week, which is kind of wild.
Right.
Kind of wild. Normally, I try to run more content with you, but we're both playing tanks right now, so it's kind of hard to find the balance. But I gotta ask, man, I was tanking the key. You were DPSing. It was a 14. Was it a 14 or 13?
Yeah, it was a 14.
14.
Yep, 14 Nexus.
Yeah, it was a 14 Nexus point. I thought it went pretty good.
It went okay.
Yeah, like in your review, how was my tanking? Did I hold up okay? Like,
it was good. Yeah, I mean, your DPS was only like 20% lower than mine.
Dude, I pump
really
on
good.
blood, dude. It's crazy. Although I think my stats are wrong, so that's probably why.
Yeah, and also that was only my second time DPSing this entire season. So
That's true. I think Unholy plays very different than it used to.
It does a whole lot, and I'm just not used to it as much as what dude. I've been playing Unholy since like Shadowlands. Yeah, it plays. Well, no, first season of Dragonflight. Sorry. Yeah, it plays so much differently than what it did. So it was kind of an adjustment, and to start DPSing in a 14 is kind of interesting.
That's true. We timed it though. We had good time left, so it wasn't like
and to be honest, I don't think my DPS was only 20% lower than the other two in the group. So I felt pretty good.
Oh yeah, and one of our guys was a guild member who runs like 18s all the time. So not like
I mean both,
not a fair comparison.
Both the DPS in our group were very good.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a little tiny bit of a carry.
Oh yeah.
Little tiny bit of a carry. What can you do?
Oh, what can you do? One thing that Ian had mentioned that I thought was interesting in the towards the beginning of the conversation was that they realized that top players were kind of blowing through their rewards, right? So like the rewards that they were given kind of ran out pretty fast. And so now they were like trying to come up with new ways to give rewards, like the 1% mount, the 3400 mount, kind of stuff like that. We're looking at season 2 about having like 9 out of 6 myth track items, and it does make it's funny to me because it's one of those things where like once you let the genie out of the bottle, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? And so Blizzard's in this weird spot where they've made gear and rewards too easily available, and I say easily available in the sense where like it's just right, like I think it just truly like it rewards at an easier tier than it ever did before. And by the way, everybody does content at different levels, right? Like I actually like to me the peak would be if there's gear that's actually above my skill level to acquire, right? Like that to me is cool, right? Like that's like, oh wow, cool, like that makes the world bigger. But it is fascinating though that they recognized that and they knew they couldn't like reverse that, or they couldn't go backwards. And so now they're trying to figure out like how do we go forward and offer these rewards without necessarily like making heroic track gear harder to get.
Yeah, it's really hard to be honest. I just don't see. I'd love to see how they do it because now they've kind of opened up this thing, and I think we joked when you streamed yesterday about just like myth track again, like, and maybe it wasn't. I think I wasn't on. I think it was like right after I jumped off. You were talking to someone, and you just said like, oh, mythic track. They just give it to everyone, and it's starting to feel that way, right? But it's also it feels weirdly not that way because. I feel like the jump from champion to hero track gear is like walking, down the yellow brick road.
Yep.
And then when you kind of want to go to heroic from mythic or myth track, it's like it's definitely harder. And I feel like that's part of the problem, right? It shouldn't be super easy to go from like veteran.
Yes.
Like adventure to veteran to champion to heroic just feels like a snap of the fingers. And then from heroic to myth is definitely harder than any of the other ones.
Oh yeah. I mean when I get a new character up to level 80 or 90, whatever the max level is right now. When I get a new character up there though, first thing I'm thinking about is like, okay, I gotta go get some hero gear let me go spam some keys, right? And sure, I know that we have listeners who are listening to the podcast right now who are like, Swag, you and Chicken don't get it. Hero gear is actually really slow to get. We're still working on getting our full hero set. We do primarily world content and delves, and so it actually feeds a lot slower. I get that. Yep. I get that. That's fair. That's a fair assessment. I would also say though, if you're maxing out on hero gear from just doing delves, you are plenty capable of running +6s. And I believe it's a +6 when they start dropping hero, right, in the dungeons, or is that 7?
I think so. Don't quote me on it, but I'm like 95% sure.
Yeah. At that point, as a player, you are more than capable of running like 6s.
Yeah,
I
like,
promise.
You definitely know what you're doing. Yeah.
Right. And so this idea that you can just like spam a whole bunch of 6s and now all of a sudden you have like full hero track gear, that's kind of wild. Like that's
it is
wild.
A little crazy.
Right. And so that's what we mean when we say that. We just mean that like it's so fast. And by the way, though, 10s aren't that hard this season. Like 10s are relatively easy. So if you want to take it a step forward,
they're not bad.
Or if you want to take a step further, right? As soon as 0.5 came out, I think it was 0.5, and they offered up the those like void cores. All you have to do is just spam a bunch of 10s, and now you have full mythic gear.
Mythic, yeah. If yeah.
Right. Again, like
it's not hard.
We're saying
it's
over the
not trivial.
Yeah, like we're saying like one day, like spend like 6 hours gaming or something, and now you probably have like 10 myth track pieces of gear on your character.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I've been trying to shy away from like it's not hard because, like, you're right. Some people would agree that it is hard. So I try to use the word trivial, where it's like, it does take work to get to do 10s, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like you got to be a genius to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just takes practice. It takes time, right?
Yeah, I think what part of it is, like, you and I knew what that gear once took to get, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we're kind of also... Yeah.
Blah.
We're semi-speaking comparatively to what it was before. But with that said, also, too, like, there's something nice about having my character super juiced up very quick. But also, it does lose the MMO aspect, like the RPG aspect of, like, oh, I just get my character maxed out real fast, and if there's gear that Like, if there's gear that I can't get easily, then I feel cheated out on, and, like, I don't know. Right, Blizzard has a really weird balance where there's some competitiveness to how we game, while at the same time, like, we still want it to be an RPG. We still want gear to feel like it's fun to acquire. Some days I miss the days of like seeing somebody with something epic and be like, yo, they have that weapon.
Whoa.
Right? Like they have that whatever. That's so cool, dude.
They have the spaghetti monster.
Right? That's like so cool. I'm so like amped up to see them with that weapon. They're probably like super strong because of it. And nowadays it's like if something like that exists, Blizzard has to design it in a way where everybody can relatively easily get it. Or else there's like an uproar of like, that's unfair. How can someone else get it and I can't get it?
Yeah, no, dude. Like I, I said the spaghetti monster in like kind of a funny tone, but like that to me, that's what the first thing was. Like, oh my goodness, like people actually have like the red like KSM mount.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And dude, now I'm like KSM, like to me, not to everyone, is basically free.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a hard balance, right? But I mean, go back to again, us in Shadowlands, like, man, dude, I used to think like 10s were hard. I mean, 10s were like OG, like basically M plus or just mythic, and dude, it's so hard, and we talked about this like very beginning of the podcast because it had like just happened, or it was just like about to happen. Dude, the dungeon squish was pointless in my opinion. I mean, I'm telling you, like if we got to run all 10s again to get KSM, that's gonna like I don't know. That kind of grinds my gears a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like they squished the dungeons and then they realized they went too far, and so they tried to unsquish them a little bit. but then they left the rating the same.
Yeah.
It was a weird decision. I think that was the purpose of the 3400 though. The goal of the 3400 is like, hey,
exactly.
no matter what, this is like gonna cost the same.
Yeah, and that just feels like they're basically just like making KSM either free or they're making it less like enticing as it was. Like KSM to me used to be like, oh man, like KSM, that's the stuff. KSH used to be that way too.
Granted, though, dude, we've also improved, right? Like, there's a fairness in like we've improved as players, right? We've improved, so there's a fairness there too that we have to accept and acknowledge. I think it's a little bit of both, right? A little bit of like things have gotten easier, but we've gotten better. But
we've definitely gotten better.
But they did say 3400 is a flex achievement. So like next season, it could be 3400, it could be 3500. It all depends on what they feel like is appropriate
I like that,
difficulty.
actually. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, it's all what they feel is appropriate difficulty, which
like
I think KSM should have been. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes me happy. Like I'm like, yeah, that's good. I like that. Keep that.
Yeah. So
keep that actually. No, we'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, they talked a little bit in the interview about just like experimenting with things, right? They experiment with split raids and the flexibility in that 0.5 raid. Although I would say that recent raid that came out, I would say that was probably more of a test for the new world boss system. I don't remember what they're calling it, but it's basically the new world bosses. And so it was a test for that system. So they talk about delves a little bit as well. There is a dedicated team that are working on the delves experience. And the way he said, I think he implied that there was not a dedicated team prior to working on the delve experience. So like before, I guess they just took maybe some of their dungeon designers or some of their world quest designers and they had them make the delves. And now they have people who are like dedicated. They just make delves. That's their thing. They make delves and they work on delves. And I'm curious where that will go long term, what we'll see that look like, how delves will evolve. I don't think delves, and I've said this before, but I don't think delves are in their final form yet. I think we're going to see more tweaking and more working on them, and I think they're just going to get better and better. Like, I think delves will continue to improve, but Blizzard is trying to figure out a way to make solo content enjoyable in a game that's balanced and designed around group content. And that's difficult. Like, that's difficult to do, right? To be like, oh, hey, I want to play a healer, but I want to do it solo, right? Like, now Blizzard has to go, okay, well, healers were designed for the purpose of playing with other people, and now this guy doesn't want to play with other people. How the heck do we make this viable? So I think they have some work cut ahead of them. I think delves are getting better and better. I don't think they're perfect yet, though, and I think we're going to kind of like, I think M+, took dungeons to the dungeons were already great, but I think M+ took them to the next level. I think we'll see something that takes delves to the next level.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think delves one day will be like the thing that we actually enjoy and we don't talk smack on it.
Yeah,
it
gets better.
Maybe not.
It gets better and better. I will say
maybe
though,
it's
also
better if we just
they
have
did
something
not.
We can talk smack on.
Yeah, they did not say this in the interview. I don't think they did, at least. But I do remember seeing it recently somewhere. This could be false information, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure I saw it. The Mega Delve that's coming out next season is not coming out in the 0.1 patch. I think it's coming out in the 0.5 patch.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that. Mm-hmm. And that was confirmed by Ian, or that was...
No, I just remember reading that somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was actually like confirmed or if that was just
pretty sure
like random nonsense that you picked up off the internet.
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. I also feel like if it was not confirmed that was the case, then when they had that whole like video going through all this stuff in 12.1, it would have been included. But they didn't mention word.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yep. So I think it's pretty safe to say 12.5, which probably feels better for a Mega Delve to be introduced. I gamble they're going to want to have higher like quality gear and rewards come from that. And so to have a Delve, even if it's a Mega one, dropping like Myth or Hero gear relatively easily, probably feels weird week one, which feel a lot better than like a 0.5.
Low key, we didn't have a mega dungeon in what's it called? Did we? We didn't have a mega dungeon in
Yes,
the War
we
Within.
kind of did, but we kind of did not.
I don't know what that means.
So I can explain. So they took Tazavesh back and they ran.
Oh,
Remember,
that's
they made
right.
that. They made that viable as a mega dungeon game. Which, by the way, to be fair, does
That's
take
right.
time. Does take time from their teams to sit and tune everything appropriately. And
We didn't have a new mega dungeon.
But now you're saying, but swag, but that doesn't involve the design team. Like nobody had to make the assets. That's true. That's true. Nobody had to design new fights. That's true. But the flip side of that, and it's the same this expansion, by the way, from what I can see. Instead of getting a mega dungeon last expansion, we got 2 new dungeons for the Mythic Plus pool.
Oh,
right.
That's right.
So
yes.
We got Floodgate, and then we got the one on Koresh. What's it called?
Yes. Yeah.
The dome,
Yeah,
the Eco Dome,
and Echo Dome.
Yeah. So we got those
Echo
2,
Dome.
and then this expansion, we haven't seen the second one yet, but we are getting that first dungeon next season. So we do have a new dungeon coming in next season. That will be exciting to see. I imagine then in point 2 we'll also get another new dungeon. I feel like Blizzard realized the hard thing with the mega dungeons, as cool as they were, it was really geared towards like a specific player. It was kind of mid-season. It was kind of its own thing. It was cool content to interact with. But where they really shone was when they were split into M+. And I think Blizzard was like, okay, well, why not just make it M+ from the beginning? Especially since we're doing a three-season patch cadence instead of a 4-season patch cadence. Does that make sense?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting to think about.
Why is that?
I don't know. It just is.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know if you're going to go somewhere with that.
No, I just I like the concept of a mega dungeon, and I felt like there was one just every season for a long time, and then there just suddenly wasn't.
I will say though, I liked I like the concept of them. I think they're fun. I get why people don't love them, and I get why they kind of. Also, too, while we're sitting here complaining about how there's too many ways to get gear right now, right? A mega dungeon would only make that worse.
A mega dungeon's what? I'm sorry.
Would only exaggerate that more, right? It would just add another avenue to get gear.
Oh yeah.
And because it would be mid-patch, they'd need to find a way to make it give good enough gear to justify doing it mid-patch. So probably at this if it was this season, it would just be pumping out myth track gear, right? Or it would allow you to use your void cores per boss.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of it that way.
Right. So now you're running mega.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see.
Yeah. So another thing Ian talked about, and again maybe it's kind of come out of conversation about mega dungeons. They have noticed that things are starting to feel too formulaic. Coming out of, and this is me kind of speaking personally, coming out of Shadowlands, I think going to Dragonflight, they really tried to lock in how the game worked. They have been taking a lot of risks for a while, and I think they wanted to try and be careful. And so Dragonflight and The War Within felt very, very, very similar as games. And Midnight is starting to as well, in many ways, right? And so, I know we have the World Soul Saga going on, but it doesn't need to feel like it's one expansion that just has 3 major parts to it. And so they're trying to find ways to keep things fresh and fun. And they're trying to figure out how to make change for the sake of making change without ruining things people love.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's I mean, I think they're falling short of the age-old, if there's a trilogy, the middle always has to be the best. And it's I mean, to a point, but I don't know. At some point, I feel like the overall experience is gonna be how it is. And I kind of exaggerate, the middle has to be the best. But I just don't know. The whole like trilogy World Soul Saga thing to me always just baffled me. Like I just never understood what their thought behind it was.
I think I can kind of give an idea. So the previous game director, I never get his name right. It's like Afrasabi or whatever. He had this like concept that like every expansion should feel like the last expansion, right? And so you had like Legion, right? Then you had Battle for Azeroth. Then you had Shadowlands, and every one of those is like trying to wrap up with like the big bad, like some cosmological like end of the world, like it's crashing down. And so I think
like this is it. This is the end.
Yes. And then when Chris Metzen stepped in, right? So they brought Chris Metzen back, the like one of the original like storytellers of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Story designers. He comes back in and he's like, "Hey guys, I see what you have," because they'd already developed a bunch, right? And they can't just like scrap what they've developed at that point. They still have to keep moving forward. He's like, "You've already developed a bunch, but instead of just doing this as like one expansion, let's build this out even more and let's do 3 expansions, like the World Soul Saga. Do all 3." If I was theory crafting right now, I think a couple things. One, they want, by splitting out over 3 expansions, they get to tell those stories without it feeling like it's like every time we go into new expansions, the end of the world, right? Like, like, hey, we've been chasing, Xal'atath around, which actually kind of feels good that we haven't just like outright killed her right off the bat, which is great, right? And we're not usually getting too much Xal'atath in our like middle patches. We got a lot last expansion, but this expansion seems like we're going to pull away from Xal'atath altogether for the next patch.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think will be good. I think that'll be very good. Honestly, we could pull away from Xal'atath for the patch after if we really had to as well. Kind of just give it a break, right? And then let the last Titan bring her back in.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, right. But I think one thing, and I'm trying to remember who did this. Maybe it was Platinum WoW. Platinum WoW might have had a video on this. I'm giving him credit, but it could have been someone else. I don't remember. But it does seem like Blizzard's trying to tie up all their loose ends right now with this World Soul Saga. That there's a lot of story bits and pieces here and there, right? So, the division of the elves, right? The relation of the elves and the trolls, the light, the shadow. Who are these cosmological forces? There's a bunch of these like random story beat pieces, right? Sylvanas in the Shadowlands. What are the Shadowlands even supposed to be? All these like kind of stories that have these loose ends to them that make it hard for somebody new coming into WoW to like get invested in WoW, especially in the story. Because you come in and you're like, oh, I just can't follow because there's way too many things I have to know about the story to like ever keep up. And it almost to me seems like they're trying to like complete as many of these as they can, so then they can turn around and be like, okay, World Soul Saga's over. We're doing kind of like a soft reset of the world, very soft reset.
Yeah.
Like we're not like doing anything wild, but like, hey, new players coming in get to start their new adventure, and they don't need to know the backstory of everybody and everything. They just get to kind of come in and explore the world and experience it. I think that's what's going on. We had some talk this week in our Discord of like, will there be a WoW 2 coming out, or are they going to be doing anything major coming out of the World Soul Saga? My thoughts, and I've always said this, I don't ever see a WoW 2 coming out like as a new game engine anytime soon, or anytime when WoW itself is doing well. Like if WoW's doing well, they're not blowing it up to make a WoW 2. It's just not happening. Because it's just too much. The game engine, again, adding a new game engine would push away too many players. It would also require us probably to lose a lot of things that we love, like lose our transmog collections and other things. That would not be fun. I also want to point out for people who do question this, the game engine we have now is hardly comparable to the game engine we had 20 years ago. I think people assume it's like the exact same engine that it runs on. It is definitely spaghetti code. Ian even jokes about the spaghetti code in the interview. It's definitely spaghetti code. It's definitely built up over 20 years. It's definitely messy. But what the engine can do now is like far beyond what the engine originally could have done.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Right? Yeah.
And so that's like important to keep in mind. But I think there is a good chance that they're gonna do like a soft, gentle reset on the WoW story, and just be like, hey, here's like we're kind of, I didn't finish that thought there, but I do think that if they do that right, like rebuilding new leveling experience and building a leveling experience, building a leveling experience that better represents classic WoW leveling. Not this, hey, go into one expansion and just power level through it as fast as you can, and then you're max level, but rather like, slow down a little bit, not too much, because again, I still don't want to be leveling my alts all the time, but slow down a little bit, and then find ways to send us around the world and to explore the world, right? Like right now, there's really no exploration in the leveling process. It's just like a speed blitz of trying to get through it as fast as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't know you're doing that, it's just like every quest sends you to the next quest. You're never exploring. It's just like, oh, this sent me to this one. We sent me to this one. We sent me to this one. And I feel like at some point they tried so hard to like modernize WoW that they lost like what made WoW better than every MMO.
Yeah, I'd really like to see them even diversify from that. Like, how can they make it so that you can like level differently versus like other people? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see how it'll go. But again, I do think that would be their opportunity. If there was a chance that they're like, hey, we actually want to like start back from ground zero in some loose way, I think that would be a huge way to do it. Would be to like come after the World Soul Saga. The hard thing though too is like, man, there's just so many elements of WoW that they continue to give us more and more that's hard to take it away, right? Like,
yeah.
You and I are still talking about like Bone Shield and Bone Storm, right?
Shield, good old
that they took away. Like I never even think about needing to hit those buttons. I just don't think about it anymore. But at the same time, right? Like we're still complaining of like, oh, I don't even have my tombstone anymore.
Dude, I miss old Bone Shield.
We still have Bone Shield. I meant to say Tombstone.
No. Oh, Tombstone. Yeah. Tombstone. Oh, Bone Storm. Sorry, I thought you said Bone Storm.
Yeah. But no, Bone Storm and Tombstone. Like I miss them, right? But like at the same time, it's hard. It's hard for game companies to take things away. It's just really hard. I always use the Fortnite example because I think it's such a good one. And sometimes it's nice to use an example outside of the game that you're playing currently, because if I use an example from WoW, our audience some of them will be like, yeah, you're spot on. Others will be like, no, you're stupid, Swag. You don't get it. That was terrible. So I'll use an example from outside WoW, so there's less, personal feelings trampled on it. In Fortnite, there was when the game came out, you had building in the combat system, right? So it was a shooter game. You ran around, you tried to be the last one to survive, but you could also like get materials and resources to build up, right? So you could build walls and ramps and even like little floors and roofs. So you could build like a building, a tower, or whatever, right? Like, and you could do it. It was cool. But over time, as people got better and better at building, Fortnite kept adding ways to make it faster and faster to build, up until they added what was called turbo building, where you basically just like held one button down and like spun in a circle, and you pretty much had like what you want. Like it still required you to be skillful. Like it wasn't a non-skillful thing. The problem was it actually raised the ceiling of skillfulness, right? Like where like the most skilled players actually it pushed them way above players who weren't as skilled. And so the problem that Fortnite ran into then is when they looked at that and said, oh crap, we made building too good and too fast. And now a lot of our players are leaving the game because building's in there. So then they tried to slow it down again. They tried to like reverse that and slow it down. But when they tried to slow down, it just angered everybody. Not everybody. It angered your top players, right? Your top players were very angry. So they started getting very loud and noisy about it. Because they got loud and noisy about it, then all the players who normally would benefit from it, they're getting loud and noisy about it because they don't realize that this is good for them, and they just see that the people they look up to are angry, so they're now voicing their opinions on it. And it kind of put Fortnite in this spot where they never really recovered from that. They never recovered from it because they gave too much and they couldn't take it away. And eventually they end up splitting the game into two different modes, one with building and just one completely without building, because they could never get it back to the right spot. And by the way, I
never come back.
I think the right answer, I tend to usually play the no build mode now, is normally what I go for. I think the right answer for them though would have been probably to have been able to go back to that slower mode, because again, the building made the game unique, but they had made it
I
too
was gonna
powerful,
say it,
right?
It's no different now from other battle royale.
Yeah, and so that's the hard thing about WoW. It's like, what are the things in World of Warcraft that Blizzard has over time, as like kind of whether they were expansion benefits or just philosophy changes, over time they gave us more and more, right? Maybe it was the faster and faster leveling. Maybe it's the easier to obtain mounts, right? Like now it's like level 10 and you get your first mount. Boom, you're on a mount right away.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that are actually hurting the game? And maybe this is a question, this is a question for our listeners. What are the things that you guys think? I don't really want you to defend something. I don't want you to be like, Swag, you mentioned this, but I think it's actually great. I hate walking. I don't care. I literally don't care. What I do care about, though, because it's more interesting, genuinely more interesting. I want you guys to share with me, if you're listening to the podcast, share with me, whether through comments here or on Discord, for you, what are things that you've observed that you're like, oh yeah, WoW over time has made this faster or stronger or easier to deal with, but actually I believe it hurts the player experience overall. That's what I'm curious about. Like, I'm actually curious, what are those things? Because those are fascinating, because those become really hard for Blizzard to fix. And maybe a post-World Soul Saga soft, I use soft very lightly, a soft reset of the world, right? Could possibly fix, right? Because I don't want them to get rid of all my transmog, even though, honestly, I don't know how great transmog actually was for the game. Like, even though I love transmog, so I want to know, though, like, what are the things that you guys think are really cool, and maybe you love interacting with it. Maybe you love that it exists, but deep down in your heart, it actually probably makes the experience like overall worse. Even if you think it's bad. Those are the things I'm interested in. Like, what are the things that like you enjoy, but you internally know are probably not like good for you?
No, I agree. Yeah. I would like to kind of discuss that at some point, because it's hard. I mean, this is a game that we invest time in, we invest money in, and there's always just going to be little things that just make or break it, right?
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, like, these are the conversations that like we get the heat for from our listeners, where they're like, you just don't understand. I'm like, dude, I get it. Like, but it's those things that we love that just maybe aren't so good for us, even though we love them, right? I don't
Good
know,
old
man.
Twix bar.
Good old Twix
Just
bar.
kidding.
By the way, right, like, we talk about meta, right? I'm using an example here. It's a stupid example. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't thought that much about it, right? But we talk about meta, right? And this idea of like, I can't get into any groups because I'm not playing the meta spec. It's like, okay, well then go re-roll to the meta spec. Right?
Yeah,
like,
that's such a hard concept.
Leveling
right?
is so fast. Leveling is so freaking fast. Like, if you have time to complain that you're not meta, then go make a meta class.
Yeah, go do it, right?
Just go play it.
Don't complain about it. Go fix it, right?
And part of why the meta can persist as it does, because people blame WoW's balance. WoW has some of the best balance of any MMO ever. Like, the balance is insane in this game. It is hard to get the balance that they have. What they're doing is impressive, right? But imagine if it was like way harder to, not way hard, but imagine if it was more difficult to actually level a character and gear a character. And so you're not just like, oh, hey, I want to play something different. Boom, tomorrow. Dude, we have guys in our guild that like have like 12 like maxed out characters, and they're just like, as soon as they get bored of one, they're making another one. Is there an element to which that makes the meta more persistent? Because now all of a sudden it's a normal expectation that, hey, if people want to tank my key, they need to play a Guardian Druid. And if they don't want to play a Guardian Druid, well, that's their fault, because they could have just had one leveled in a week. Ready to go. Not even like leveled in a week, like leveled in a few days and then geared in a week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a game that I don't want to play, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, meaning, like, if WoW was ever like that, I wouldn't want to play it.
What do you mean? Too fast or too slow?
Either. Like, yeah. I mean, I think WoW's in a pretty good place. I mean, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
If it ever became like, oh, I need to be this comp to play, then it's like, that's just, to me, isn't fun.
Yeah. And by the way, though, we're also talking about like at the highest levels, right? At some point, you have to say, hey, if I want to push that key, is my goal to play?
Do better. Yeah.
Is my goal to play a Death Knight, or is my goal to get that accomplishment done, right? Like
Yeah,
for me,
and I'm okay with
yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
I'm okay
Totally.
with not being able to run that content because
Oh
to
yeah,
me, it's like, yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just saying right now, right? Like one consequence of such fast leveling that we have is I think it makes meta more persistent because it's more normalized to just bottom reroll, right? Like it's like, oh,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just reroll. I just reroll real quick. I'll just play whatever, right? Which that wouldn't have been the case as much before. It would have been like, no, this is my character, this is my identity. It's why I
yeah.
find the guys who have been playing the same class since the beginning of WoW are still playing the same class since the beginning of WoW because they started on that class and it didn't matter if it was meta or not meta. That was just what they
Yeah.
played, and they weren't going to spend
Got
another
value too,
60,
right?
70, 80 hours trying to level another character up. That they just have what they have now.
Yeah, it's got good value.
But anyways, again, I'm curious what people will say to that kind of concept and that idea. But we do have a good amount of listener questions this week for the podcast, so that's gonna be kind of fun. Before we go into our listener questions, though, as always, I want to give a big shout out, a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We have a few of our Patreon listeners actually listening right now as we record the podcast. Yep. So we have a few listening, leaving comments as we're recording. They also got some extra bonus content just for Patreon at the start of this recording that will not go out for everyone else. We are super thankful for our Patreon supporters. You guys keep the lights on here and make sure that this podcast goes live every single week. It really is a huge help, and we're massively thankful. We are currently working towards trying to set up a kind of a video format for our podcast for Chick and I to record video so that our YouTube listeners can even get a little bit extra engagement in the podcast and what's going on. So we're excited about that. We also always want to encourage people. Look, we know it's towards the end of the season. You're not doing as much in WoW, and that's totally fine. But we have an awesome guild of amazing players. More than anything else, we love doing content. We love the raid and dungeons and delves and housing and all sorts of other things. But more than anything else, dude, it's just like a family. Our guild is like a family, hanging out, joking around together, just talking, yapping. It really is an amazing community. If you're looking for a guild, a home, a community, I encourage you to be a part of Astra. It's wonderful. Absolutely amazing guild. If you want to learn more, you can join the Warband Discord via the link in the description, and you'll see a channel labeled Join Astra. Hop in there, open a ticket, and let us know in your ticket that you would like to join the guild. Or if you have questions, ask any questions that you have about the guild in that ticket, and we'll get right back to you. It's not a guild. I always like to clarify this. It's not a guild that's run by Chicken and I. I'm an officer in it, so there's that, but it's really a guild that we stumbled across and found, and we love being a part of, and I want to invite you to be a part of it with us. And of course, as always, the podcast neighborhood still has some extra room in it for houses, and I need some help with these endeavors. So if anybody wants to join our podcast neighborhood, build a house, I love checking out people's houses. So if you want swag to walk in your house sometimes, you can find more info on that as well. Join our Discord and just ask in general chat for an invite to the neighborhood, and we'll get you. But now we got some questions that we want to get into today. We got a few, so hopefully we get to them all, but we are going to take our Patreon questions first, as we always do. So we have a question from Agro Management. And he says, so I am still a baby tank. I was running a time walking dungeon. Everyone was nice, and I knew I was a noob. But one comment I got was, pay better attention to chat. I find that excessively difficult. How do you watch everything going on and chat, let alone respond? Is there some secret to being able to track all that is going on with a team, mobs, chat, my dog barking in the background, etc., or does that just come with experience and observational skill?
You know, I'll take the reins on this one, and then you can either scrub me or like agree with me and follow up then. But dude, that's a load of BS. Like, I don't know. To me, that most likely was something happened and that person got upset because you didn't read it and you might have went like a different route that didn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. But like, to me, I'm not focused on chat when I run dungeons, and I don't think you should be either. I think there are points where it helps to know that the chat exists, especially if people are trying to talk to you. But like, My personal opinion, I would focus most on, your route and deaths. And maybe that's kind of why he mentioned chat. Maybe there was just deaths in chat and you missed it. But like those to me are like the bigger two things, is knowing when your team dies and knowing just your general route. I mean, I'm sure there's definitely good stuff that happens in chat, right? If someone's like, oh, lost here, or, you pulled this pack, but you shouldn't have because you're a noob. Like to me, that's like, okay, fine, right? But I don't think eyeing up chat is something that you should be like primary focused on. Like I need to keep an eye on chat. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you're about to roast me and be like, this is why you need to pay attention to chat, chicken.
I think I disagree a little bit, but not like a lot, right? It's like a mild disagreement. I'm probably the worst person to ask about this because dude, my brain, I'm way too ADHD, man. So like I'm running keys at the same time running keys. I'm having conversation in guild chat in game with somebody about something, and then I'm like scrolling through Discord at the same time, or watching a Twitch streamer and commenting on their live stream. So I actually probably need to distract
you're
myself.
Not the right person to talk about that.
I need to distract myself a lot less. I'm too distracted.
Honestly, dude.
Yeah, I'm too distracted.
This is the guy that's straight talking in G chat when you're in the middle of a dungeon. You're like, bro, what are you doing?
I'll be like inviting people to the guild while like I'm mid dungeon running something, and I see somebody come to our Discord ask for a guild invite, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll toss you one around. So again, I'm probably like an extreme of like I read chat too much. With that said, though, I would say that there can be good things in chat, and I think it is important to keep an eye on chat. Again, you're running with 4 other human beings. They have to have some way to convey information to you, right? Like they need to be able to convey information to you while you're doing a time walking dungeon. Whatever, who cares? But as you progress more and more, they're gonna need to know about pools. Your healer's gonna want to be able to tell you when they need mana, when they want to break. There's just like a lot. There's a lot of info that you're gonna have to get in chat. The downside of it too, though, is the same place that you're gonna find helpful information is the same place that you're gonna find people being like, dude, what the heck, bro? What the heck are you doing? This is stupid.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
So it's like a double-edged sword. I would keep an eye on it. I would take a look at your chat window and see if there's things you can remove. So like if you have general chat in there, I have general chat and trade chat in their own separate window together. I only look at them when I want to be entertained during a raid, or when I need to go ask for somebody to craft something in trade chat. Other than that, though, I don't have them in my main chat. If you find that there's something that's clogging up your chat pretty heavily, I would move that as well. Over time, though, I think it'll just come with experience. The more you get comfortable tanking, hitting your rotation when you pull a pack, using your defensives right, the more you get comfortable with that, I think the more your chat will become easier to observe. I actually think Chicken probably watches his chat a lot better than he let on there. Even to the point he knows I'm making comments in guild chat while I'm dungeon, right? Like he knows, he sees it. Dude. He sees it. He's made fun of me.
Not mid dungeon, bro.
Yeah.
Because especially during boss fights, because you get DBM just popping up everything in your chat, and you're just like, bro, DBM, calm down.
But yeah, it can be helpful. It could not be helpful. But yeah, your chat window can be an extra resource of information. You'll pick it up over time. I wouldn't stress about it right now. It's not something you have to practice. It's not something you have to practice. You'll just naturally get better. You'll naturally get better at that. There's a lot of info, by the way, aggro management as a tank that I either think you're not even aware exists, or you probably feel too overwhelmed to even kind of keep an eye on. And the more and more you tank, the more and more you get experience with it. I think you're going to get more and more comfortable with that. One thing I will say, because I've gotten to know you a little bit, I know you're trying out a bunch of different tanks right now, and you're kind of evenly playing them all. I would find one that you really like and just lock in on that for a while. I wouldn't try to play. I wouldn't try to play multiple, because what you're doing is you're intentionally making it harder on yourself by needing to constantly refresh what like rotations you're using, what abilities are important, what your right defensives are. And so if you want to like, again, if you want to get better at observing all the things that are going on, you need to like make your rotations and your abilities second nature to you, right? And the only way you can do that is if you just kind of live on one of them for a minute. That's not to say forever you only have one. Just I would take a minute, right? I'd take a minute and like just master one of them, and then
Yeah,
once you master one of
yeah.
them and you get used to like seeing all the stuff you need to see, you'll find that then jumping to the others becomes even easier and that you're more on top of it than before.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that heavily.
Yep. All right, question coming in from Rack. And he said, "Hi, everyone. Question for the pod this week. I'm getting pretty hyped about the upcoming big 100th episode. Looking back at where you guys started when launching the show, did you have any particular goals going into creating the Warband? You guys feel like you've accomplished those goals? Or how have your guys' goals evolved over the years? Where would you hope to see the Warband in another 100 episodes? Anyways, keep it, dudes. I appreciate all the work y'all put in to help my day go by a little bit faster each week." I'm having trouble reading today. But, Chicken, do you want to answer that first?
Sorry. I totally, yeah, I didn't, I like went out of order because, yeah, Rack's a Patreon guy.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was thinking about the next question.
No, you're all good.
Anyways,
You're all good.
yeah,
You're all
hold
good.
on. Looking back, no, I think like the biggest goal we had was just to grow and see where we go, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously we've grown a lot since we started. And to be like blatantly honest, like we've even like, I think gotten a little bit stagnant, not like fully stagnant, but a little bit. And just, you know, how we make the podcast really hasn't changed too much. So, you know, kind of skipping to the next question, you know, how we, you know, hope to see the Warband in another 100 years or 100 episodes.
That's
And
a long
maybe, you know,
podcast.
probably doing, what'd you say?
That's a long podcast.
Yeah, 100 years, right? Probably just adding more content. I mean, you know, we do the podcast and it's great. But it's not a lot of visibility, right? Just getting more people interested in the podcast, interested in the game. I think we have good takes on the game. Like, you know, every other podcast, I've listened to a few other WoW podcasts, and it's not that they're not good. They are good podcasts.
Some great
I just
podcasts,
think,
yeah.
I think they don't focus on the aspects of the game that matter. I think they, you know, they focus on aspects of the game that either don't apply to us because they're like the 0.1%, right?
Yeah.
Or they focus on, you know, kind of like the fun parts of WoW, right? And that's fine. Like I said, these are great podcasts. Like I would recommend any of them to anyone, right? They play the safe card, I think, a little too much. And I don't think there's wrong with kind of, you know, hating on WoW a little bit, because, you know, we do invest in this game, right? Whether you'd like to think of it as an investment, I mean, I do, because that's just how I think about this kind of stuff. So
You have a good point. I feel like we're probably one of the few that like speak very highly and negatively simultaneously.
yeah,
Right.
right?
Most lean one way or the other, right? Like
One way or the other. And it's
yeah.
mostly highly, because no one wants to get in a podcast and just like listen to people like chew out WoW, unless it's like the 0.1%, but they're like
0.1%
chewing
well,
out
for
WoW,
sure, yeah.
like, yeah, they're chewing out WoW like totally different than we chew out WoW.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just growing and seeing how we can come to different content in different ways. Like, you know, I'd love to start streaming again, but I just don't think that's in my cards. And just growing the podcast and becoming, you know, even part-time content creator. But yeah, just kind of making this whole brand, you know,
Yep.
the Warband brand, and not just a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I can give some thoughts. When we first started the podcast, it really came out of Chick and I. We used to just meet up for lunch all the time, and we haven't done this in a while because our meetup spot went away. But we probably should. I think we should find a new alternative because it would I think bring a little more life into the podcast. But we used to
too soon.
We used to meet up a lot for lunch, and we just talk about WoW. And at the time, we were actually, if I'm being honest, we were actually just talking about like our guild raid progression, like 90% of the time, and going through like our roster and thinking through like what's it going to take for us to kill bosses, and just talk about like we talk about the game, but usually it was more like our experience with the game and like with the players we play with and stuff like that. But we knew that we loved talking about it. We knew that we were analytical in how we talked about it. And so we just wanted to do a podcast. Chicken has wanted to podcast for a while. I know you had a podcast prior to this one. I've never podcasted before, but I thought it'd be fun, and I've done all sorts of other types of content. And so we just wanted to try making a podcast about WoW. But we really didn't know where the podcast was going to go. Like those early episodes, our notes on the podcast were like all over the place. It was like,
oh yeah, they were rough.
Should we talk about lore? Should we talk about news? Should we talk about like what is the conversation that we're supposed to be having? Do we mimic what we see other podcasts doing? But the trick is you just start and then see where it goes. And where I have found that Chicken and I particularly excel, where our niches, both I think what we can speak well on, but also what we enjoy speaking about, is we like being a little analytical of WoW. Like, hey, I want to like overthink things, right? I'm not content with the idea of like, oh, if I had this, I'd be happy. As you heard me earlier on the podcast, right? Like, I want to think like, okay, but if they do this thing that will make me happy, what's the repercussion of that? Like, what will then go bad? What will then happen, right? And so I love those kind of conversations. I think Chicken's really good at those conversations too. I can't speak for him and say he loves them, but I know he's genuinely really good at that conversation and thinking through it. So I think that's kind of where our podcast has been. Chicken hinted at this, but I'll be honest, like we're not trying to hide anything. There's definitely a moment right now where I don't think either Chicken or I are totally satisfied with the podcast in its current state. We just know that there's a lot better we can do and offer, and we know people love the podcast, and we know people are enjoying it, and we're really happy about that. But because I think we're both two very analytical and critical guys, it's hard not to then look at the thing we're creating and being like, oh, but we could do better. Like, we can do more. Like, there's bigger things that we can do. And so I would not be surprised if you guys saw some big shifts happen after episode 100 with the podcast. And just know it's him and I just sitting around thinking, like, what is it going to take to reach more people? What's it going to take to create a podcast that's more enjoyable to listen to? That's going to have a bigger community. That's going to be able to do things. Because I don't want to just have a podcast that's just us yapping. I want the podcast to pull people together and form community and allow players to experience not just the RPG of WoW, but also the MMO of WoW. So that's all there is. If there was one thing that I'm going to answer this hope to see the Warband another 100 episodes question kind of weird. If there's one thing I would hope to see in the Warband 100 episodes, it would be more lore conversation. But I know 100% that's not happening. So I just want to put that out there. Don't expect that. It's not coming, but just know that that there is still always a little part of swag that loves nerding out over lore. But also too, I think we're excited though where WoW's going, and we can't wait to keep talking about all the new stuff. It's really nice having a podcast for a game that is frequently updating, that isn't stagnant, right? Like it's not like many other games where like after a while there's nothing new to talk about. It truly, like, even today, man, dude, there's almost no news, and yet we very easily filled up the time because we just love talking about this game, and there is enough happening to make it worth talking about. We know things could happen.
Yeah, there's things every day happening.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have a podcast like this.
Yeah.
All right, question coming in from D-Trax. He said, assuming no real-life commitments, when do you prefer playing in an M+ season? At the start when resources are scarce, or later on? Asking because I've had a blast gearing up characters with the Nebulous Void Cores. My main for the season didn't really benefit from them, but my alts sure did. If I were to answer this first, I would just say that I generally prefer playing in the beginning of the season. That's when my friends are on. That's when like all the hype is around. That's when like the energy is there. And it's also really fun to like be pushing in that time frame. and because you're kind of getting a lot of not that you're getting a lot of gear, but like you're constantly progressing your gear. Whereas right now it doesn't quite feel like that. I don't always love this point in the season. I'm pushing right now, trying to get my 3400, but I don't always love this point in the season because this point in the season is usually when you have everybody who's pushing, like me. I'm one of them, by the way. Let me clarify, one of them. But everybody who's pushing, who has finally built up the confidence to push, and they're not quite as solid at pushing as the guys who were pushing much earlier in the season. And so I will say keys are definitely get harder at this point in the season, for sure. You would think they would just get easier and easier, but they do start to bell curve back down at some point, and they do get harder. When you just, again, you have a lot of the players who would have made it a lot easier, who are now just like off doing other things while they wait for the new season to start.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before, but man, I will say I see the weirdest stuff happening now in Keys. At end of season, dude, I watch things happen in Keys. I'm like, how is this happening?
Yeah, right.
I was in a M+ dungeon. I was in an M+ dungeon yesterday, running a +12. I think I was live streaming this too. And we had a hunter in the dungeon, and his damage was generally pretty good. Like his damage was good.
Oh, you told me this. Yeah.
So I didn't I wasn't too concerned about his damage, but he was just dying all the time. All the time he was dying. And again, this is a +12. So in order for him to have gotten here, it would have taken a minute to get here. But what really got me is he would die on a boss, and then after the boss was killed, he'd like sit there and wait for a res. Like one time we had to run back and res him because he wasn't releasing.
That's just strange.
And it's like, brother, you'll release right where the boss is. I run into a lot of those things. Or like he died on one trash pool at one point that was like right after a boss. It was Skyreach. We're on the trash before the third boss, right? Because you have like all those bosses in quick succession. So we're on the trash right before the third boss, the bird boss. And he dies, like, right as we pull the trash. I don't even know how he died, to be honest. I'm still... Oh, you know what it was? I think because I was grouping those two packs together, I think he just started pumping somebody as I'm, like, grouping packs. Like, the moment I like, ran forward, he just started pumping. And I think something aggroed on and punched him to death. I was like, dude, slow your roll just a little bit. But anyways, he dies right as we pull the pack. He could have just released and ran back and would have been able to like keep fighting in that pack with us. Like his resurrection point would have been at the last boss, which is in the room right next to us. But for some reason, like he would not do it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so strange.
You just run into weird things at this point in the season, which makes it kind of hard. I think sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. This is a question for Chicken coming in from Squirrel Thug. It says, with 12.1 focusing on the Amani, where do you think 12.2 will take us? Assuming it's on track to be the last major patch for Midnight.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe...
I want you to come up with something. Just make something up. Make something up.
I think we're gonna end up back in Zul'Aman, and we're basically just gonna we're gonna work with Jaina Proudmoore and just like massacre every Zul'Amani, and we're gonna do it so bad that you won't even be able to play Zul'Amani trolls. Anyone that's a Zul'Amani troll is gonna have to like race swap.
Interesting. You know what's funny? You know almost no lore, and yet you're pretty spot on with Jaina's habit of genociding people.
I just literally just pulled that out of my butt.
Perfect.
For lack of that's literally
no. A little bit of a lore note. There was a point in the story where Jaina flips out on a bunch of blood elves who are living in Dalaran and just like kills them all. To be fair, though. I don't know if she was totally in the wrong for it. I know I'm gonna get some flaming for that. One, because they were a horde, and horde are terrible and evil in every conceivable way, and they should all die. And two, because actually, truly, they were like betraying. Not all of them, but it did appear that like every time they trusted this faction of Blood Elves in Dalaran, they would betray him and people would die every single time. So it kind of hit a point where it was like, okay, we got to do something. But to answer Squirrel Thug's theory, I would gamble 12.2. Hopefully, this is what I would like for 12.2 to be doing something that's us preparing to go to wherever Xal'atath is, which I'm assuming is near the World Soul. Hopefully that's down in Haranir, maybe like further into the Rift of Aln, right? Maybe we have to go like deep into the Rift of Aln or something and start preparing down there. I think that would be cool. I like that the added area for 12.1 is the big island that we see off the coast. I'm hoping 12.2, again, the Rift of Aln would be a good one where it feels like it's already part of the world we're establishing. That was one thing I think we had trouble with in the War Within. It's like every time they added a new zone, it was like, oh, we're going to Undermine. Okay, now we're going to Koresh. And it felt unrelated. Like Undermine, you probably could have pulled off because it's there, but then Koresh was like a wild card. But having both of them kind of felt too random. I think Rift of Aln. And for those who are like, what is the Rift of Aln? That's kind of that area where you fight the single boss raid. I can't remember his name right now. It starts with a C and an H. But the single boss raid where you fight him. The Rift of Aln, though, is also referenced heavily with the Druids. I believe that's where Xavius was locked away at one point by Malfurion. I think they even talk about it in some of the books. But it seems to be... Historically, when we've seen the Rift of Aln, it was like a Emerald Dream only thing, but now we're seeing it in the real world. So I think that could be cool. Like, again, we're trying to find a way to get to where Xal'atath is, and I suspect Xal'atath is with the World Soul, potentially. So that could be a cool thing. And so, yeah, I would gamble that's probably the next major step. I don't know if I necessarily want the next major step for us to now be suddenly 12.2 or with the World Soul, but simply like, hey, how do we get there? It might even be cool if like the raid of 12.2 was like the pathway to the World Soul. That could be kind of sick. I don't know. I'm making crap up now. I'm just making things up, but that's what I would see.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Man, Jin, can you believe, dude? This is episode 98. 98.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy,
bro. We're getting close to 100. Only like 1% of podcasts ever make it to 100 episodes.
Oh wow,
that's sick.
I never knew that.
That's absolutely
2
sick.
years. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love that. So, anyways, that's all the listener questions we have. Just a reminder to, if you are one of our Patreon supporters, you can always send your listener questions in, not just in the Patreon questions channel on Discord, but you can also send them in via an audio file in that channel if you want, and we will play that on the podcast. We haven't got an audio one in a little while, so I wanted to make sure you guys knew that that was a possible option if you are interested. Chicken, any last thoughts or words you have for the podcast before we wrap things up?
I think I am good.
Awesome. Oh. Never mind. I thought we had one more question. We don't have one more question. That's for the 100th episode. Man, been great recording with everybody. I can't talk. Great recording with everybody. I will see you all around next week. Hopefully we get that episode out on time. I will be away most of the weekend. So if it comes out a little day late, I do apologize for that. But we haven't... Don't think we're chickening out before we get to episode 100. Not doing that.
Imagine.
We can't wait to see you there. Episode 99 next week on the road to 100.